Kiss a Fella is part of the Nebraska Noir anthology that's being put together by the director of the Prairie Lights Film Festival, Matt Keister. And he does this all the time. He's able to sort of bring a reason to filmmakers to actually make something.
Kiss a Fella's story is written by Julie Hoverson. And from Unfiltered Entertainment's perspective, it's interesting because she also wrote No Exit, which is the horror short that we did the previous year for the Prairie Lights Film Festival. So Julie Hoverson wrote Kiss a Fella, and it is essentially, for her, it's essentially a short scene, but it's got a nice open and close. It introduces two main characters.
A man who is a detective and cab driver, apparently can't make ends meet completely as a full-time detective, and his co-worker slash love interest.
I love that she is pretty much a badass, but she's also like very self-aware on her feelings, and she definitely has them, but she's very used to stuffing them when she needs to. And we don't know the full story. Of course, I've come up with different scenarios in my mind as to why she is the way she is, but whatever it is, she's good at it.
And so they've just come off of a job, and as they are headed somewhere else, a stranger gets in the cab and drama ensues.
Ron has been bamboozled by a middle-aged-ish vixen of some sort. She's a married woman, much older than him implied, and she's basically tricked him into attempting to kill her husband because she doesn't want to be in the marriage anymore.
The nice thing about a story like this is that it's not about things happening to people. It's about people interacting and making choices, and which makes it's much more interesting to make a story like that, to tell that kind of story.
Everyone talks about the difference between screen acting and stage acting. Stage acting is bigger because you're trying to push your performance over distance for people to hear you and see you, so it's bigger. But screen acting, the more subtle, the better. And when you're shooting three people in a cab, that's pretty much the definition of intimacy.
That's the set, that's the stage, that's the whole world that we have, is this taxi cab. And that was interesting to just kind of come to terms with that and try to act within just the bounds of a car.
Working with the actors to make their performances as subtle but meaningful as possible was the real challenge. And the other real challenge for me was making sure that the story arcs made sense and came together in an interesting way. I wanted every person in that cab has an arc that they go through, and the way that they intertwine was really important. So sculpting that out of the actors' performances and also in the edit was incredibly challenging.
That was really the challenge as a DP is creating sort of a style, just creating an atmosphere around this car that essentially really isn't moving. So basically we black box it. You black box it and you create that motion through the motion of the lights. We added fog. I went ahead and called on the mad skills of Greg Kubicek, and he brought in Mark Rankin, and they actually built a dolly system with a street light on it. They actually brought in a stoplight system. They created headlights on a little dolly that could move back and forth, so to make it look like a car was behind them. I mean, all of that motion was created by not moving the car, but moving the lights and moving the fog. So yeah, easily the most interesting and the most challenging part of that process as a director of photography.
You know, every actor, actress kind of has like a handful of roles of a lifetime that they would love to do. This is one of mine realized. Like 1940s, noir, she's totally a femme fatale but plays this sweet little darling. Awesome.
I feel like at this point we choose short films that allow us to sort of experiment with different ways to tell stories. It's interesting when you finally get to a point as an indie filmmaker where capturing the image becomes less the hard part, and the real hard part is creating moments that are believable and that make the audience feel a certain way.